What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got another video today in the home defense series, and I want to go over home defense pistols. Now, before we get started, if you guys are liking this content that I'm putting out, please feel free to check out my channel and go subscribe to my channel. Check out my other videos. I have a few other ones in this home defense category. I should have a playlist set up there for you. But if you're liking this stuff, please like and subscribe, leave a comment, whatever. I'm working my best to get this channel monetized to keep putting out good content. So please support the channel if you're enjoying it. If not, move along. Anyways, today we are talking about home defense pistols, okay? And what you want to look for in a handgun setup for home defense. Now, real quick, I'll go over mine right off the bat, okay? So as you see here, and as the title says, I believe this is, for me at least, the ultimate home defense pistol, okay? This is a Glock 20 Gen 4 10 millimeter, okay? Now, what I think you should do with pistols for home defense is you need to, in my opinion, get the most firepower that you can handle, okay? So that means, like, you know, if you're most comfortable with 9mm, go with 9mm. But if you're fine with 10mm, 45, 40 Smith & Wesson, you know, whatever, one of those larger calibers, I think if you can handle it, you should go with one of those larger calibers, okay? And then also, I believe you should get the biggest handgun, or at least a, you know, one that holds about the most rounds as possible. So in this case, we've got 15 rounds of 10 millimeter, okay? That's sort of my criteria for a home defense handgun setup, is the most firepower you can handle and the highest capacity that you can really get in that handgun, okay? And so, again, that's why I went with a 10 millimeter Glock. Another necessary requirement for a home defense pistol, in my opinion, is a light. Okay, I've got a Streamlight TLR1 on this one, and it does just fine, okay? It puts out plenty of power, plenty of lumens, and you need a light to be able to identify what you're aiming at, okay? So I think you need a full-size handgun like this. I go with 10 millimeter because I live in a very rural area. I'm not worried that much about over-penetration. I am not really, you know, I'm actually out in the woods with this gun a lot more than I am in town, okay? So for me, the extra firepower is probably necessary, in my opinion, if I'm going to carry it in the woods as well. So I go with the 10 millimeter. You obviously don't have to. Something like this does just fine as well. Glock 45 in 9 millimeter, okay? My setups that I have here, again, I'm going for a full-size gun, as many rounds as I can carry, okay? And, you know, actually in the Glock 45, I would probably prefer to use a Glock 19X magazine, okay? This one I just spray painted black, and it doesn't look very good. It kind of came out crappy. But anyways, I would go with, again, as many rounds as you can get in that gun, and as much firepower as you can get, okay? On my particular guns, I like to have a light if I can. Now, I don't have a light on this one yet because this isn't really my designated home defense gun. This one stays in a separate place that I could, you know, it's staged somewhere else where I can get to it, but I don't have a light on that one yet. But I think you need a light. I think you need the most firepower you can get in a handgun, and I think you need as many rounds as possible. And another thing that is probably nice to have is night sights, okay? Not necessarily a requirement, but something that you should be looking for if you're serious about your home defense pistol. Okay, so just to reiterate, light, night sights, much firepower as possible, as many rounds as possible, okay? So that's why the Glock 20 works perfect for me. Holds 15 rounds of 10 millimeter. Chances are you're never going to need that much 10 millimeter. That is a lot of firepower. Or again, you could go with something like the Glock 45 in 9 millimeter, okay, and you've got like 19 or 20 rounds of 9mm, and I'll just take this light off of here real quick. I loosened it up for the video so that you can see that light on the Glock 45. You could put that on there. I'm probably going to go with a TLR7 or for this one, so it's not sticking out so far. But, you know, something like this is what you need on your bedside table, okay, in my opinion. It doesn't have to be a Glock. Absolutely, obviously, does not have to be a Glock. Could be a Smith & Wesson, could be a Ruger, could be a CZ, it could be a SIG, it could be a, you know, whatever. You know, just insert your favorite handgun, Walther, Springfield, anything, whatever. Something that's reliable. It's got to be reliable. It's got to hold as many rounds as possible, and preferably, it's going to be as powerful as you can handle, okay? That's what I think you should look for in a home defense pistol. Now, why I think you should buy a handgun first for home defense is because the handgun will be much more convenient and much more versatile, I think, than a, say, an AR-15 or a shotgun. I think you should have those. I think you should absolutely have a home defense carbine ready to go in your bedroom. But I think you should have a handgun first because it is a lot easier. Say this were, you know, if this were my nightside table, I could easily go grab this and I'm ready to go with one hand, okay? With an AR-15, it's going to be a little bit harder to do, okay? Or I have a light on this gun, but that does not mean that I'm going to go around my house searching with this light, okay? This, you know, it might be on, but the only reason I'm going to use this light is if I'm intending to shoot at something, right? That's the only reason you're going to point your gun at somebody. If you're walking around with a handheld light, okay, which I would recommend that you keep a handheld light, which I do. I keep a handheld light right next to this gun. Let's get the Glock 45 out of here for now. I keep a handheld Streamlight Polytac right next to this Glock 20 on my bedside table, okay? And the reason I do that is, you know, what if I hear something on the porch? What if I see a car parked out at the end of the driveway? Am I going to go look at that car? You know, am I going to walk out to that car pointing this at it? No, that's not a good idea, okay? You need both. You need your light on your gun and you need a handheld light, okay? And so I'm going to walk out, I'm going to look at that car, and I'm going to shine my light at it, okay, or whatever. I'm just going to stay in the house, you know, or if I hear something fall over in my house, maybe I hear glass break, right? I might hear glass break and I might suspect that somebody just broke a window and is coming into the house. What if you walk out into your kitchen and your 3-year-old kid is just, you know, knocked over a glass off of the counter and it's, you know, broke on the ground? You don't really want to be necessarily pointing your gun at your 3-year-old kid, right? So you got to have a handheld light, in my opinion. Okay. Now, the problem is if you were to have an AR-15, okay, or whatever your home defense carbine is, mine is an AR, okay? If you have a carbine, say it's slung around your shoulder or slung, you know, across your chest in the ready position, that's great. But when you walk somewhere, say somebody knocks on your door at 3 a.m., okay, or rings your doorbell. Maybe you even see them on the Ring camera and like they don't look that, you know, dangerous or anything like that, or for whatever reason. Let's just say you go and you answer the door at 3 a.m., which probably isn't a good idea, but you can walk to the door and you can have this light in one hand and this gun in the other hand, right? And so you have two hands to be able to do stuff with. And it's really easy to just drop this and get your left hand up there for support. If you were carrying a carbine across your chest, you would have to use this handheld light with your left hand. And basically, you might have your right hand up on your chest somewhere ready to grab the carbine, but you can't really fire it one-handed that easily. At least I can't, okay? So what you would have to do if you actually had to engage with somebody, you'd have to drop that handheld light and then get your gun up and then turn the light on your carbine and go to work. With the pistol, you can carry both and you can shoot while simultaneously still holding the handheld light. Okay, that's why I think the pistol is a little bit more versatile in that sense. Don't get me wrong, guys. If I had to stop a home invader, absolutely 150%, I'd prefer to use my AR-15. Okay? It's got better stopping power. It's got better accuracy. It's just all around better. Okay? More capacity, everything. But that's only if, like, I know somebody's breaking into my house, right? Like, if I absolutely know what's going on, maybe I see some dude with a ski mask trying to bust down my door, then absolutely I'm grabbing the AR-15. Okay? But for most situations, bump in the night or whatever, you know, I think that a handgun is probably going to be more well suited for you. You can, again, you can carry it around. You can set it, you know, say you go to answer the door and it turns out that it's like your neighbor, okay, and their car broke down and they were whatever, you know, for whatever reason, it turns out to be nothing. Well, you can set this down on a counter or something somewhere real easily and get it out of the way so that your neighbor's not freaking out because you're pointing a gun at them, right? In my opinion, the first thing you want to get is a good home defense handgun, okay? And again, to reiterate one more time, you want firepower, you want high capacity, you want a light, and anything other than that is really just secondary accessories that aren't necessarily required, okay? So I choose, again, to go with the Glock 10 millimeter, the Glock 20, 15 rounds, 16 rounds when you got one in the chamber of 10 millimeter, and I feel like that's pretty capable of stopping pretty much any threat that comes through the door, right? So go out, guys, and if you're concerned about home defense, look around at some handguns. Start, in my opinion, with a full-size handgun if you're worried about home defense. Okay, this isn't everyday carry. I'm not everyday carrying this Glock 20. It's too big, okay? I might carry it once in a while, but not every day. Okay, but for home defense, you want a full-sized handgun. Okay, they're a little bit easier to shoot. Generally speaking, they have more stopping power or they have more capacity. Okay, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you think that you have any other ideas for a home defense handgun that I didn't touch on, drop them down in the comments. And guys, please go check out my other videos. I'm going to do one on the AR-15 or the home defense carbine next, okay? With how I think you should set up your home defense carbine, okay? So, all right, guys, thanks. Like and subscribe, and as always, keep blasting.